Yeah. I think he's ready.
Hey, fool, if you did.
I'd like to call the November 1st, 2021 meeting of the City Council for the City of Lake City. If everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for looking after our citizens and our community. We ask for your guidance tonight in our deliberations, that what we do is in the best interest of our community and our citizens. We ask that you continue to help us get past this epidemic. Ask us to look after first responders and law enforcement, fire department. And in your name we pray. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lake City Council has opened its public meetings since 1968. The city code has prohibited any person from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or becoming boisterous while addressing the city council. Yelling or making audible comments from the audience constitutes boisterous conduct. Such conduct will not be tolerated. There's only one approved manner of addressing the city council, that is to be recognized and speak from the podium. Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hill.
Here.
Mr. Jefferson.
Here.
Mr. Sampson.
Here.
Mayor Witt.
Here.
Mr. Coberline.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Chief Butler.
Here. Okay, we have minutes from October the 13th and October the 18th, special call and regular sessions.
I'm going to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes is published. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is approval of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda or a motion to approve?
So moved, man. Second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda is published. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Next is persons wishing to address council. I have a couple. Mr. Glenn L. Bowden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Glenn L. Bowden, 1156 Northeast Bascom Norris Drive. I rise this evening, Mayor and Council, to express my opinion that the item on the agenda to appoint Mrs. B. Coker as the next city council person is of great concern to me. I don't think it's a good idea, Mr. Mayor and Council, to appoint someone that in her young adult life has filed bankruptcy in Georgia, bankruptcy in Florida, and have been sued in the courthouse right behind you by a corporation called Marriott Corporation for not paying her bills. I think that in light of a $60 million budget, appointing someone who has not demonstrated an ability to take care of their own finances could not be put in a position to have fiduciary responsibility over taxpayers' money here in Lake City. I'm not sure that even a person who cannot handle their own financial issue should vote on the people's money. In applying for the job, she engaged in deception by omission. What I mean by that, she omitted to put down the fact that she had filed bankruptcy in 2 separate states. She failed to put down the issue that she had been sued in the courthouse here for not paying her bill. In addition to that, Mayor, she ran for office for the county seat 5 by being a resident of City Council District 14. In that race, there was 2,739 votes cast. This person got a mere 249 votes. That's 249 votes out of 2,739. Not even double-digit percentage. Matter of fact, according to the supervisor election, it's 9.9%. Fast forward to election 3 years ago for District 14, where she ran for that seat. In that particular election, this according to the supervisor election office, in that particular election, there was 545 votes cast. Out of that 545 votes, she got 64 votes. So the voters in District 14 have demonstrated to both of those elections, that is not a person that they would want to represent them on the city council. The voters made that the choice. They didn't elect her, but they certainly didn't come close to electing her. Mr. Green won, and Mr. Johnson came in second. Mr. Green got almost 3 times the many votes she got, and Mr. Johnson got almost twice the amount of votes. To appoint her to this seat, Mr. Mayor, would be tantamount to ignoring the voters and to give in to the fact that she had filed a lawsuit is tantamount to rewarding a kidnapper. Filing a lawsuit is one thing, but assuming that you're going to win is another thing. I don't think the lawsuit has any basis to submit to her wishes. And the lawsuit was filed about the process. What you all will be doing, you will be rewarding the person for filing a lawsuit. If the process is correct, then the process is correct. But I don't see how you should reward her to be on this seat. And it's my considered opinion, as Mr. Herbert Dr. said, that it would be a gross mistake going forward that you should go forward with appointing her to the city council seat. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the only other one I have signed up to speak at this time is Mr. Sean Holcomb.
Mayor, council members, Sean Holmgren, 240 Northeast Laguna Drive. I think if we're going to start to call into question people's past, we would have to call into question Mr. Bowden's past, Mr. Hill's past, a lot of other people who have been convicted of crimes or who have been arrested for things that were nefarious, and they've still been allowed to serve. So I don't think it's very fair to look into non-criminal acts by Ms. Be Faithful Coker and start to question her integrity. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Mr. whatever your name is, you can check any court. Jake Hill Jr. have never been arrested. So for my past, I had a little run-in with the police department, if that's what you're talking about, but I've never been arrested. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I had signed up, so we'll move to appointment of city council member, District 14. We have City Council Resolution 2021-165. Carboline, would you read that by title?
A resolution of City Council of City Lake City, Florida, appointing Be Faithful Coker as council member of District 14 in accordance with the city charter and providing an effective date period.
Is there a motion that City Council Resolution number 2021-165?
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of resolution number 2021-165.
Is there a second? I'll make the second. Any comments of council?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to comment. The last meeting that we had on this issue, I voted to support Ms. Coker to fill District 14. But since then, I have a change of heart. The young man just pointed out that I have an arrest record. Never been arrested. I'm repeating myself, never been arrested. But it's public information that Ms. Coker have been arrested. Again, I don't want to go into details on her past, but she has a record. And this is a known fact. So with that being said, my vote is no.
Okay, any other comments? Ms. Starks, we call the roll.
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
Mayor Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
No.
Mr. Sampson.
No.
All right. We're back to square one.
All right, move on with the agenda, man. It's long.
Mr. Mayor, so we're back to where we were at the very beginning. I have a recommendation that might help things along, I'm not sure, but if we were to have a special meeting, and at that meeting, if it was possible, the administration, maybe Mr. Williams and Ms. Sykes and Attorney Coberline could prepare in advance a resolution for each of the prospective council members then at that meeting, we can make a selection, finish it there, and go ahead and swear them in immediately. And that might be the best way forward. We've gone through the process. We did a rating process, which as far as I know, seemed to be perfectly legal. We picked someone, that motion was tabled. Some people on this council folded due to a lawsuit that, in my opinion, holds no water. So, you know, for me, if we're going to finish this process up in time, we need to have another special meeting because the process has to start over. And that's what I'm recommending, if we can do that. And I don't know, that might be a question for the attorney or for the city manager. Can they prepare in advance these resolutions?
Well, I asked guidance from, Mr. Copeland. I don't think we can take action tonight on any, change in it because it's not on the agenda. Is that correct, Mr. Copeland?
That's a correct statement, Mayor. Mr. Sampson's request could be fulfilled. We could always prepare resolutions in advance.
Well, I think our time runs out next Monday, so I would recommend we have a meeting next Monday night, 6 o'clock. Is it, since Mr. Sampson made that recommendation, what's the pleasure of the council?
Is that in the form of a motion?
Well, I can make a motion to that. Is
That's
that-
fine.
Okay, I'd make a motion that we'd have a special meeting Monday, 6 o'clock. And then on that agenda, we would add from the previous agenda, a second part, which would be an approval of the resolution, have a resolution prepared for each so that whatever we do in the first part, we can go right to the resolution and do the swearing in thereafter.
I second it.
There's been a motion and a second. My concern now is who's even still in the pot. I mean, I don't know who may still want to,
Mr. Jernigan is still,
or if people want to. Hold on, Steve.
Well, procedurally too, Mayor, what procedure are we gonna use to fill the position again?
Well, and the other thing, I think we need to reaffirm who's, a candidate, and if somebody wants to apply, I think we'd have to take a new application because we're,
I disagree with that, Mayor. Everybody had, the ones that wanted to apply for the position, apply. So you talking about extending this further?
well, then I'd ask that the ones that have applied, let Ms. Sykes know by tomorrow or Wednesday, you know, if they're still interested in the position.
Are they all here?
I don't know.
I see Mr. Jernigan is out there.
Mr. Douglas is here.
I don't know whether Mr. Douglas still wanted it or not.
Speak for itself.
Okay, Stu, briefly.
Yeah, thank you very much. Before you vote, I guess there's no motion yet on the floor, is there?
Yes, there is.
It is.
Can somebody repeat the motion so I can at least understand it?
That we'd have resolutions for each person that's interested, and we would bring them up next week, so that whatever we do is final next week.
Okay, thank you very much. So now I understand that. On 2 weeks ago, whatever the last meeting was, look, I know what you guys, so this is nothing personal. But this board voted by motion, these are facts, I wrote the article, Stu Local, Columbia County Observer, to appoint a faithful Coca to the seat, period. That's what they did. That's a fact. There's nothing anywhere that I could find that makes it so you get another bite at the apple and Mr. Colwine, the city attorney, decides to come up with a resolution. The motion is tantamount to a resolution. You don't need a resolution. And if you do, I'd like to know whatever statutory or thing about the charter says you do. You guys may have been led down the garden path. That motion at that night voted to put Ms. Coca on the board. My understanding today is Ms. Coca filed her oath of office. So there was, just let me finish. So there was a motion to put her on the board, period. The time to reconsider that motion was during the length of that meeting. That's pretty clear. I don't think anybody could dispute that, not even Mr. Colwine. Now, there may be other ways to do that, But you don't even know what the motion is tonight because you folks don't have the minutes from that meeting. And the resolution, I don't believe you do. Do you? And that resolution is based on the minutes from that meeting. What I'm suggesting to you is that motion was that resolution. The fact that Ms. Coker filed her oath of office today, based on a legal vote by this board, would seem to me is there's a seat there and that her name should be on that seat. Do I agree or do I support Ms. Coker? Do I support Mr. Jernigan or anybody else that ran, or Mr. Batten who didn't run and may yet run, I guess? That's not the issue. You have a bunch of facts in front of you. Forget the lawsuit right now. You have a bunch of facts. You voted on a 3-1 vote to put Ms. Coker on the board. So there's no resolution that's needed. The motion was comparable to the resolution. She filed her oath of office today. I've yet to see anything in the charter, and maybe Mr. Cobaline can help the community out on that, that requires that Ms. Sykes give the oath of office. Nothing. I haven't found anything in the charter. So all I'm asking is that you guys consider this and consider the acts that you've done. Thank you very much.
I just want to say something quick, because y'all did the same thing with Douglas, so if that's the case, then y'all owe Douglas the job, because y'all gave it to him first. So if we stand on what Stu said, then it should be Douglas, because y'all gave it to Douglas before anything, and then y'all came back and went to be faithful, but first y'all gave it to Douglas. So if we gonna go on what Stu said, and then everybody see it.
Mr. Caroline, any comments on?
I don't have many comments, Your Honor. That was a constructive argument. I agree with the lady speaker. Legally, if you apply that reasoning,
I agree.
you would have to go back to Mr. Douglas and he would be seated. But this you won't be the first council to hold up the swearing in of a council member that has been appointed or elected by the general body. Unfortunately, you're in the same posture as you were around October 18th. You do have the benefit of 2 rounds of evaluations. And so you do need to make a decision by the 60th day, which I think will be around early part of next week.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by council. Any further comments of council? Not, Ms. Sykes, call the roll, please.
Mayor, can we just clarify, it's a motion to have a special meeting Monday night at 6 p.m. The motion provides for Mr. Coberline to prepare resolutions for the 3 candidates, which would be E. Coker, Mr. Jernigan, and Mr. Douglas.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Douglas, and then the swearing in for the successful candidate would be right after.
I agree.
Is that the
Yes,
motion?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
and Mayor Wynn.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move to the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Under old business, we're to open a public hearing on city council ordinance number 2021-2200. So Ron, would you read that by title?
An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending the official zoning atlas of the City of Lake City land development regulations as amended, relating to the rezoning of less than 10 contiguous acres of land pursuant to an application Z21-06 by the property owner of said acreage, providing for a rezoning from residential single-family to commercial neighborhood of certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date.
Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak for or against city council ordinance number 2021-2200? If not, we'll close the public hearing, move into adoption of city council ordinance number 2021-2200.
Mr. Mayor, I propose an adoption of City Council Ordinance number 2021-2200 on the final reading.
A motion and a second, any discussion by council? Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is, open a public hearing on City Council Ordinance 2021-2201. Copeland, would you read that by title?
An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending the text of the City of Lake City Land Development Regulations as amended pursuant to an application LDR 21-03 by the City Council, providing for amending Section 3.1.1.3 titled Planning and Zoning Board Organization Term of Office by changing the term of office from 3 years to 4 years, providing for amending Section 3.2.1.3 titled Board of Adjustment Organization Term of Office by changing the term of office from 3 years to 4 years, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date.
Anybody in the audience wish to speak for or against this ordinance? Not, we'll close the public hearing and we'll move into adoption of City Council Ordinance 2021-2201.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 2021-2201. Second. On its final reading.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion by council? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is open a public hearing on City Council Ordinance 2021-2205. Caroline, would you read that by title?
An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida pursuant to petition Annex 21-02 relating to voluntary annexation, making findings, annexing certain real property located in Columbia County, Florida, which is reasonably compact and contiguous to the boundaries of the City of Lake City, Florida, into the boundaries of the City of Lake City, Florida, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date.
Anybody in the audience wish to speak for or against this ordinance? If not, we'll close the public hearing, move into adoption of City Council Ordinance 2021-2205.
Mr. Mayor, I move for adoption of City Council Ordinance number 2021-2205 on the final reading.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think this is some of the most important things we can do as a council is annex and make the city larger. I think that growing the tax base, growing the opportunity, this is something we need to be working with the administration on to make sure we're moving forward. It'd be nice if we had an annexation north, south, east, and west every meeting. I know we have some challenges currently with the setup in the growth management department, but I would like to see that because the more we annex, the larger we grow the city, the more tax funds we'll have in the future to help balance that budget.
Agree with that. Anybody else? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is, open a public hearing on City Council Ordinance 2021-2207. Caroline, read this by title.
An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida pursuant to petition Annex 21-03 relating to voluntary annexation, making findings, annexing certain real property located in Columbia County, Florida, which is reasonably compact and contiguous to the boundaries of the City of Lake City, Florida, into the boundaries of the City of Lake City, Florida, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date.
Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this ordinance? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, move into adoption of City Council Ordinance 2021-2207.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 2021-2207.
Second.
Been a motion and a second, any discussion by council? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Okay, item 11, City Control update. Mr. Warren wanted to speak to that.
I'm gonna make it say first.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Final plans are with the architect. He's doing specifications for bid on both the Old Girl Clubs building where finance and HR is going, where the IT building and the bank building. We should have those back before the end of this week. Then we'll bring those to you so that you'll know what the estimated cost is. And also, he'll also give us an estimated cost on doing the old bank building if you so desire to go into that. Other than that, IT's ordered all the equipment for the bank building where customer service is going. The cables will be finished up this week going into there. We're meeting with Comcast about internet connectivity tomorrow. And based on that, once the IT equipment is in and installed and the security cameras are in and installed, we would be able to move customer service over to the new bank building sometime this month, once that IT stuff is hooked up. That will not interfere with the limited renovations that will go over on the other side because it's partitioned off from the public so that we would be able to get that done. And that's the update we have at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Warren?
So basically, last month we were here doing the workshop, and David Young was here, and we're going back and forth about getting the customer service down in the bank building. Mr. Mike claimed he didn't know whether or not you can actually do renovation and have employees in the building, which people remodel buildings and all type of things at the same time. So we just wasted all this amount of time by not diligently working to get these folks moved from where they've been displaced at and making sure that customer service is back in a location that's best for them and best for utility clients, customers. Do we know a price tag on this project?
That's what he's gonna get for us.
You want me to answer? I mean, nothing before you answer the question, but you won't even let me finish. Yeah. So.
No, he said a minute ago that he was on.
That's why we couldn't speak.
Okay.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
He's gonna have the answer this week to us.
He didn't say he was gonna have the answer to the call. He said he was gonna have answers to the blueprint.
My understanding was he was gonna have the cost estimates.
The architect will provide estimations of the cost of all those buildings with the specifications. That doesn't mean that's what the bidder, when we go out for bid, will actually charge.
Right. You know too much, man. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Any thing from the council on the city hall?
I think it'll be good to see customer service get in, and if we can get that by the end of November is the target date, Mr. Williams?
Yes, the only thing that depends on is the IT equipment coming in. It's been ordered. Some of it's beginning to come in. Part of the cables have already been run. The rest of them will be finished up this week. IT will be getting the equipment installed as it comes in. We meet with Comcast about internet connectivity tomorrow. And then based upon that, we would be able to move customer service in there hopefully before the end of the month.
Thank you. All right, item 12 is Memorial Stadium. Mr. Williams.
Yes, Mr. Bishop was going to try to be here this evening. Yes, there he is. Phil? Mr. Mayor, Mr. Bishop's here to give us a verbal report on the stadium.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just a real quick update on where we're at, what we planned. We finished our field inspection last week. We're in the process now of reducing those field notes to a report. I anticipate having that report in the next 2 weeks. In the report, it will outline our findings. It will also, we did find some deficiencies that need to be repaired. It will have those identified as well as corrective actions that need to be taken. And we should also have a cost estimate for those repairs. I will tell you, we did not find anything of major concern. The stadium's not going to fall down as we had originally advised the council. It does need some repair work done to it. Once those repairs have been done, then we can give you a full and final structural analysis that shows the capacity of the stadium and that it is safe, and that should then clear any concerns with the insurance company or the citizens about the use of the stadium. So, thank y'all.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions? Okay, thank you.
I'm on
Right.
number 12. So my question is, where we gonna get the money to pay for it? Are we going into the CARES Act money again?
I don't know.
You gotta know, Mr. Sampson made a motion to go into the CARES. Man, stop this. We already been said that we're gonna go into CARES Act, but now you act like you don't know. Mr. Sampson said we're gonna go into CARES Act money. That's what we paid Bishop them from. That's what we agreed to pay them from. So now you're saying we're not gonna go in it? You got so much to say when it's trying to defend your friend Mike Williams, but when I'm asking you when the rubber meets the road about where we're gonna pull the money from, are we gonna pull it from the CARES Act?
I don't know how much it's gonna cost. He had to give us that answer.
Where did we pull the money from to pay him?
But that's not what we're
That's
gonna
my question.
spend the.
Where did we pull the money from to pay the engineer study?
I'm not exactly sure right now.
How you the sitting mayor and don't know where we pulled the money from? It's not a finance director job. They made the motion from up here. Mr. Mayor, here's my problem. You got so much to say. How much you gonna have to say about pulling some money from that CARES Act money and putting benches and pavers down there on North Marion Street? That's my concern. You're finding money for everything else. You're making motions for everything else. You're making motions to seat and unseat everybody. When are you gonna start making motions for things that make a difference in people's lives and people's communities? That's what I want to know. Answer that question. You've had so much to say every time I come to the podium. When are you going to do that? Put a date and put a motion on when you're going to put some money down there on North Marion Street. Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about you working on it. You work on everything else, you get it done. You got $600,000 stuff over there in CARES Act money, but you can't muscle. None of y'all can muscle up enough strength to spend it over in the black community.
Well, I think it's all one community.
Well, you think it's all one. You don't invest in like it's all one community.
Well, I'm not arguing with you up here.
I ain't trying to argue with you. I'm talking
No,
facts.
I'm done. Okay.
Well, I ain't done. I still got a minute and 8 seconds left.
Well, go ahead.
Well, the city need to. If the city do it, he gonna get
Yeah,
it.
the city need to do it.
The city.
Won't you get up here and support?
Okay, hey.
I got a minute. Something else. You send her up for point of order, it's gonna be a lawsuit filed. It's gonna be a problem up here. I got another 50-some seconds. So
Everybody in the audience, stop. We got 1 minute and whatever, talk.
put my time back. Put my time back.
Playing your time. It's still
Give me just a minute.
I want to know why this black community can't get benches. Mr. Mayor, you the mayor, and I want to know from the rest of this council why that community can't get benches. Why we got to sit on the edge of the sidewalk of 5-gallon buckets? Why we can't get trash cans and why we can't get benches down there? That's what I want to know. I know you don't live down there because you don't even know how to get down to Martin Luther King Street from the Richardson Community Center because I sent you down there one day and you got lost 2 blocks away. I want to know why black people can't get benches because that's who predominantly live down there. Why can't that happen, man? Why can't the council go in money? I've seen the council go in money and overlay roads. Mr. Sampson done spent $200+ on 2 roads. We're spending money for Mr. Hill's district on roads and construction. And Jefferson, he don't seem to care about the community in that district. So it's not much to say about him.
Well, I would say this council don't operate off a dictatorship.
Well, it definitely don't operate off of being voted in and you doing what you doing. You's a clown show for this community, man.
Well,
You won't even raise.
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
point of order.
Yeah. Okay, your time's up.
Yeah, I want to holler point of order. Don't holler point of order. Do something about the issues. Point that order.
All right, 13, discussion, possible action, fire pension board appointee. Still looking for somebody for the fire pension board. We'll keep looking. All right, under new business, we have City Council Ordinance 2021-2209. Mr. Carolina, can you read that by title?
Yes, Your Honor, if you give me a minute.
Sure.
The Dropbox link is booting up. An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending the code of the City of Lake City, Florida, providing for amendments to Chapter 70, Article 5, providing for codification, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date period.
Okay, is there a motion to approve City Council Ordinance 2021-2209?
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of ordinance number 2021-2209.
Second.
Been a motion and a second, any discussion by council? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Witt.
Yes. Next is City Council Resolution 2021.
I think that's 155.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. City Council Resolution 2021-155. Why don't you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Fred Fox Enterprises Incorporated, providing for grant administration services of a community development block grant totaling $750,000, providing for the development of an amphitheater at Wilson Park, providing for the payment of a fee not to exceed $49,000.00 for these services, and providing for an effective date period.
Okay, Mr. Warren.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is the grant that I have opposed from day one, when it made it through the kangaroo process of the subcommittee, when the McCullums was there. This grant was originally supposed to have been for the redevelopment of housing. To have this type of money spent on the Wilson Park area and to have a community living in substandard housing that this council think more of an amphitheater than how people are living is disgusting and just deplorable. I don't understand how we continue to move forward with ideas that don't support the least among us in some of the worst conditions and some of the worst plights. This type of grant, which is a CDB grant, has traditionally been used in the predominantly Black community to remodel substandard housing. You all have taken that grant away from that community and decided to do an amphitheater. I just don't find where your conscience and where your heart is at when it comes to human beings. You think that a amphitheater is more important than people living in substandard housing. You got senior citizens whose houses need to be weatherized and everything else. But an amphitheater was your best shot and your best call for this money versus people having somewhere good and nice and comfortable and warm to live, and especially our seniors. So just like other resolutions then passed, I would hope that you all find a way to have this a block grant applied to housing, where we have the greatest need at housing, not an amphitheater. I know it's gonna make some of your buddies who are doing financially well happy, but the least among us are not happy. They need housing. And you're not gonna let them come sleep in your house. You're not gonna let them feel the heat from your heat unit. But this is money that could help that situation. And I continue to say that this is a bad investment into the downtown area to take this kind of money that was traditionally used to remodel houses for elderly people, predominantly in the Black community and other places, to use this money on an amphitheater. It's sickening. And Sambo can call it a dictatorship, but in America, we call it having a heart.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes.
He's making slanderous.
No. What?
Absolutely.
Say what?
That was a slanderous comment.
What was the slander? Who was it directed to?
Me.
Well, I didn't say his name. You assumed it was directed to him.
Well, it was.
Well, how you know? How you know it was directed to him? I didn't say his name.
Well, I'm not arguing with it.
Yeah, well, don't argue with the truth. Put my time back, because you robbed me for about 20, 15 seconds telling me about what I said.
You don't.
Finish up.
You had your time.
No. We ain't been operating by the rules. Put my time back, man.
15 seconds.
Thank you. Put my time back.
Just finish up, please.
No, I want my time back. My daddy and all my uncles served in the military. I want my time back. We believe in the First Amendment. I got people still serving in the military.
All right, finish up.
Mr. Mayor and council, what are we gonna do about housing? Housing has a great need in this community. We talk about it all the time. This council is weak when it comes to housing. Commissioner Rocky Ford came up here and tried to put house in this community. You all rejected it. When y'all gonna get serious about what's really important to this community? Housing is important to this community. Not only is housing important to this community, but your money is not made on the tax base. You don't make real money on ad valorem taxes, right? If you really study it and understand, your money's on you in utilities. So you should be wanting as many apartment units and as many housing and hooking up to city sewer and water as possible, man. So what are we doing? We're not gonna make any money off this amphitheater. I'll be back because I got other resolutions.
Vanessa George.
If I'm not mistaken, this 750,000 is going to do a water fountain. Is that correct?
An amphitheater.
The amphitheater is gonna do the amphitheater. Is this for the water fountain?
Mainly the amphitheater.
Mainly the amphitheater, but it's also for the water fountain.
Right.
How much is being spent for the water fountain?
I'm not sure the exact.
So we're gonna beautify the lake, put a water fountain, and we still don't have any money designated to benches and trash cans. It's not like we're asking for anything else. And Mr. Warren brought up a point about the other councilors spending money in their district. Guess what? I like that. Spend money in your district because we ain't getting a dime spending ours. You're supposed to spend money in your district. I just wish we could get trash cans and benches in ours. And our councilmen should push for that instead of this water fountain in the amphitheater that floods, which was a bad investment, was poorly constructed. What I want to know is how much y'all spending on the fountain and when we gonna do something about benches and trash cans on the north side of town, north side of downtown. Since it's one community, it should look uniform. So it should look like this all the way down. So when we up here by Marion's Place and the Blanche, it should look like this all the way down to Baskin North 100. Since you said it's one, so when we gonna start looking like that on that end? Crickets, Mr. Mayor, I'm talking to you and the council. When is it? Since you said it's one, when is it gonna start looking like one?
Like I've said, we're looking into CRA funds to see what.
We've been looking in this for 3-4 years. We've been looking in it for, since y'all said about this resolution, about the water fountain. We've been looking in it for a long time. I see other council people come up here and fight for their district. I applaud that. I'm not mad one bit. But we can't get a dime over there in District 10. So I'm asking the other council folks for something in District 10, because I see y'all are spending money in y'all district. Can y'all please help us in District 10? We just want some benches and trash cans. We ain't asking for the Taj Mahal. Simple stuff. But we get berated. Y'all want to kick us out because we asking for simple stuff like trash cans and benches. Simple. But y'all are gonna spend $20,000 on some planters. 120 to cut down some trees and some planters on this end of downtown because somebody said this is the most important part of downtown. But if it's not, if it's one community, it ain't no most important part. All of it's important. We need to start acting like it's all important. So I want to know when we gonna make it all important. Y'all don't have nothing to say? Nobody?
Well, we're just waiting till your time is up, Ms. George.
Okay.
Ms. George, I understand what you're saying. I'm on the same page with you, Mr. Warren. And if it was left up to me, it would start tomorrow. It would start now.
Make the motion. Force your council to vote for it. Y'all voted for what other people wanted in their district.
And, okay, let me finish, Mr. Warren. With this theater and that park out there, again, I've always been against that. Again, the same money that was spent in the park could be spent on the north end of town. But again, nobody seems to care about the north end of town. They're so busy about that crap across the street.
Yep.
Downtown.
Yeah.
But again, all of that end of town is a part of Lake City. It's a part of Columbia County. So this same money that we're spending for this lake, in this lake, we can put that money on the north end of town, probably for less.
Absolutely for less.
So again, I hope nobody here takes this personal. But certain people here that don't look like me don't understand this. I was raised across the track over there. I just moved on this side of the track. But if you go over there on that side of the track, you be like, wow.
Wait, that's from the audience.
But again, I understand your pain, your fight. I'm just as frustrated
We
as
just
you are.
want some answers. I'm tired of being told and it can't get, we working on it. Yeah, how long y'all worked on that EOC, the document, the bring that up, the code? We working on it. We working on stuff. We working on Sally Jerry. Sally Jerry been started. Okay, COVID hit. Now Sally Jerry should be finished by now. Is it? We working on it. We still working on some stuff. We've been working on stuff forever. Do we have any finished projects? That's all we get is we working on it. But
Okay,
everybody else get results.
City Council Resolution 2021-155, is there a motion?
May, since things are coming up from the floor, I'd like to speak. As far as benches go, the benches that we have in the downtown area are currently resided on by homeless people with carts and umbrellas, keeping most of the pedestrians that walk around the lake from being able to enjoy them. If you start adding benches and garbage cans on the north end of town where there is absolutely no pedestrian traffic, I suggest to you that you'll probably have more people sleeping on the benches.
Dr. Mayor, point of order.
The audience will be quiet while people speak.
I asked to speak on any topic that came up before the floor tonight, and I'm expected to speak. So I think if you're gonna add benches and garbage cans, you're gonna encourage more drug trafficking and more people acting inappropriate, like sleeping on the side of the road. I don't see that as a good use of taxpayer funds. I think that you should continue to develop the community of areas, the parks, the lakefront, the places where we have all of our social events. Those should continue to be your primary concerns. And if you want to invest in money north of town, I would suggest you put in the cameras that have the gunshot detectors in them so that you can start to address the gunshots that are going on in that north end of town. And that would be a more appropriate use of new funds. So as far as I'm concerned, I think you're obliged to continue to address the parks and the common areas and the downtown district. And I would like to ask a question. Is this not the second attempt to get this $750,000 grant? Did you guys drop the ball and fail to advertise properly the last grant application that was almost assuredly given to us? Is this the second application for the same grant for those funds? Anyone?
As far as I know, it's what we've done.
I believe that you had a $750,000 grant nearly approved, and you lost it in the shuffle of your employees and the fact that you had an interim city manager and you had a dysfunctional set of mid-management that wasn't following through on the grant application the last time. It looks like we're now going to spend $50,000 to have an outside agency administer to that grant application. So I do hope that it goes into, I know you're watching the clock, you want me to go, but I do hope that this money does go into the community areas that we all enjoy and not just the north end of town. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, City Council Resolution 2021-155, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion on that resolution 2021-155.
Second.
I second.
Motion and a second, any discussion by council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So this is the administration of the grant. Mr. Williams, is it correct that this is the grant we've already been approved for?
Yes.
Okay. So what this is an administration of a grant that's already been approved for. I stood out at that podium just over a year ago before the election in opposition to this grant. However, how CDBG grants work, we need to finish this one and close it. So what we need to do is take this administration, get this grant rolling, finish it so we can apply for another CDBG grant. If we don't finish this one, there won't be another one. So unfortunately, I still haven't changed my idea that this is not something I personally believe in, just like when I addressed you guys before I was on this council. However, at this point, I think the most important thing we need to do is finish this project and move on to the next CDBG grant, because there's going to be an opportunity for a double year. I don't know if we have that information yet, Mr. Williams, but due to COVID, there's going to be a year with 2 CDBG grants in it. And so this one, we need to roll with it, get this done.
Okay. Any other thing from council? Secretary, will you call the roll?
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
No.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next, the city council resolution 2021-156. Mr. Carroll, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of City Lake City, Florida, accepting a bid from Advanced Environmental Laboratories Incorporated related to the recurring analysis of the city's water quality, providing for a contract price not to exceed $112,753.00, and providing an effective date period.
Is there a motion that city council resolution 2021-156?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion for approval of City Council Resolution 2021-156.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion by council? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is item 17, city council resolution 2021-157. Mr. Carroll, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of City Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of an addendum to the gas services agreement with Florida Gas Utility, a public body corporate and politic, providing for the participation in a natural gas prepaid transaction and providing for an effective date period.
Is there a motion that city council resolution 2021-157?
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of resolution number 2021-157.
Second.
There a motion and a second, any discussion? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next, city council resolution 2021-158. Mr. Carroll, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of City Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of task assignment number 19 to the continuing contract with North Florida Professional Services Incorporated, a Florida corporation, providing for engineering services related to the resurfacing of Patterson Street from United States Highway 90 to State Road 100A, providing for the payment for the professional services at a not to exceed cost of $59,406.00, and providing an effective date period.
Is there a motion that city council resolution 2021-158?
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of resolution number 2021-158.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, I had a question on this. Sorry, were you saying?
Go ahead.
I wanted to know, was there any utility work that was attached to this that needed to be done before this repaving? Mr. Scott said no.
Okay. Any other comments of council? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is city council resolution 2021-159. Mr. Carroll, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of City Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of the collective bargaining agreement with Florida State Lodge Fraternal Order of Police Incorporated, and providing for an effective date period.
Is there a motion of the city council resolution of 2021-159?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion for approval of City Council Resolution number 2021-159.
Second.
Been a motion and a second, any discussion by council? Sasha, you call the roll.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill? Mayor
Yes.
Quinn? Mayor,
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, item 20. City Council Resolution 2021-160. Mr. Kirkland, you read that by title.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement with Columbia County, Florida, providing for the engagement of the county's building official on an interim basis to act as the city's building official, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date period.
Mr. Warren?
Mr. Mayor, would it do any good for me to speak on it? I seem to be dealing with Sambos and colonizers. I mean, am I gonna get a fair hearing on this?
Go ahead and speak. You got 3 minutes.
Or is there gonna be some type of notice to let people who typically deal with the building department on the city side, where to go, how to navigate through dealing with the county as it relates to city affairs in the building department? Or is it gonna be somebody posted up on this side, do city permits have to run through the county building? Would love to know what type of structure it's gonna be. I'm quite sure y'all coach Mike on what to tell us. Hopefully it'll be something that's very simple and self-explanatory. And maybe we get the notice out there so people can understand how to navigate through that process.
Absolutely, I would think so.
Yeah, well, you don't know. It's nothing you know, so don't do no thinking there. Also, I want to know why is there an issue. I called Mike Williams today, and I want to know why it's an issue. When David Young was here, I had a problem with a Waste Pro. I was not using Waste Pro when it comes to roll-off containers. I don't believe Sylvester Warren did not sign a contract with Waste Pro. And so I want to know what the consequences will be, because Waste Pro can't meet my needs. They don't meet my prices. And I don't appreciate, though Mr. Jefferson like talk about dictatorship. It's a dictatorship when this council tells people like me and other people in the construction world who we should use for roll-offs. That's a dictatorship. So I'm not using Waste Pro. So either council let Mike understand that, or we have a conversation right now as to there's a problem with who I use besides Waste Pro, because I'm not using Waste Pro. I'm not paying more to use a roll-off than I can get from someone else. That is nuts, especially during the COVID climate, during the rising costs in construction. What are we doing here, man?
We have a contract with Waste.
You have a contract with Waste Pro. I don't have a contract.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, Mr. Green had brought forward an opportunity to reduce the fees that everybody pays on waste and to Waste Pro. The contract that was signed by the previous council does include a prohibition on anyone but Waste Pro. I'm not for that kind of contract. It's the contract we have. I don't know how we go about enforcement of that contract. But to me, I'm all for capitalist deals. So if, someone offers a better deal, that's who I would go with. Now, how it's enforced by the city, I have no idea.
Well,
That's it from the audience.
And as part of that too, when Mr. Green brought that up before, because I was out there in the audience listening to it and I was reading the fine print. So one of the options was if we did away with that, then everybody's trash bill was going up substantially. So I don't know if anybody looked into that at that time. I mean, the average, every household and every commercial business was going to get a substantial increase to get rid of that one clause.
Right.
So at that point, the council that was seated at that time made the decision to extend that to save the expense for the homeowners over the commercial interest. So I don't know how long that contract is. It seems like it was renewed for 5.
Yeah.
2024.
Again, Mr. Sampson, I oppose that contract, and I agree with you, and I agree with Mr. Warren. Nobody's going to tell me how and where I can spend my money. So I had a project going on, and they told me I had to use Waste Pro. No, I'm not using Waste Pro. I went out and purchased a dumpster myself and just paid an individual to dump it. So again, I agree with you. Waste Pro pretty much has the market corner, and I disagree with that. But again, I was outvoted on that contract.
I do have a question about that contract, Mr. Mayor. So, right after I got elected, there was an issue where Waste Pro didn't have a can available. And in this instance, they found a can they had lost was sitting in one of the roads in our district, had been there for over 3 years. The person who had ordered the can had been gone for over 2 years, and we couldn't get them to move it. We had to go to the regional manager to get them to pick up their own can. They weren't being paid to sit somewhere. So now they're not performing on the contract, and maybe we have some reopener in there. Now, I'm not sure about that. I definitely think administration should look into it and see what we're getting, because there's some other things have changed since that meeting too. If you notice, if you put any kind of stick out by the road, if it's not, to the inch of the size, you're gonna get a little yellow tag kind of thrown off like this, which I get about every time because you about a half inch over, and I don't really like take a tape measure to cut limbs. But instead of picking it up, they're going to leave that tag. And then when you call and complain, they're going to send somebody to pick it up anyway. So they could have just done it the first time. So as far as the production on Waste Pro's contract, it's not been good.
Not at all. And I've got, excuse me, Mr. Best, let me say this. I received just today 2 phone calls about Waste Pro pickup. One was concerning a dumpster. The other one was concerning household garbage. So again, they're not performing the contract. And I've even made the choice of saying that if the city picks up what they're supposed to be doing, send them a bill. That's my choice. That's my way of thinking. If they're not going to do their job and the city has to do it, they need to be charged for it, billed for it.
Mr. Mayor, if Mr. Jeffers, to be honest, this thing predates back to his house when I got into the issue with Waste Pro. Waste Pro and I have been in conflict and been at odds, and even back when I think Wendell Johnson was here, and we made an agreement moving forward that I didn't have to use Waste Pro because we were having such a conflict. And hopefully, Mr. Jefferson would be honest. He remembered that conversation. He was in the middle of it because I initially went to him. And it was between me, him, Frank, I think it was. Am I right, Mr. Jefferson, and yourself? You were privy to that communication. So I've never used Waste Pro since then and had the authority not to use Waste Pro since then. And so I'm not going back. And I just want to make that clear to Mr. Mike Williams, and maybe he can communicate that to Frank. Okay. Are we good?
It was my understanding, and if you refer to the conversation that you and I had, that if Waste Pro didn't have what you need, that city manager can override that or another company that had it, that can give it to you.
Right. And remember, it became such a blow up, and Frank said it's best to just deal with someone else. We agreed not to deal with each other.
But I don't know anything about, about you and Frank agreement that you and Frank had.
No, I'm talking about even with Johnson. One was just said, you just deal with your company and don't worry about Waste Pro. And David Young followed that same protocol.
Well, we can't change the contract, but we can make them enforce it, live up to it, I think.
Well, I tell you one thing, if you find me, I'm sending y'all the bill. I'm not paying that. I've been using it. The council let me use it, and the city manager let me use it previously. I'm not using Waste Pro.
All right, is there a motion by the city council?
Yeah, you keep bringing up items from the floor, and so I wish to speak on these items. First of all, I've had a most enjoyable relationship with Waste Pro, and I don't see anything that needs to be corrected unless it becomes a systemic problem. But more importantly, the item on the agenda is the transference of code enforcement to the county on a temporary basis. And while I think that is admirable, I don't think it's a good permanent solution. I think it should be an interim solution. And while I'm on that, we may as well rename the city. I need my mic again. We should rename
Let me check it. I think the,
1 second, sorry. I could finish my remark.
Okay.
I think that we should rename the city interim. We seem to have so many interim positions. But most importantly to me, is that when you transfer the code enforcement over to the county, when you start to also enforce the licensed contractor rule and start to follow the charter's guidance on what is allowed to be a licensed business in the town. I believe that one of the previous speakers operates a construction business in town, but is not a licensed contractor and doesn't have an occupational license. And so if people are gonna approach the council and they're gonna counsel you guys on how to administer to businesses, I think they should first and foremost be a legal entity in the city. They should have an occupational license, a contractor's license, and the insurances that are required under most cities in Florida. Or they should be counseled on how to go ahead and get licensed before they continue their operations. I think it's really important if you're gonna do code enforcement that you start to look at the real issues, which is unlicensed practice of trades, the fact that people don't permit roofs and construction work that's going on in the city, and that you don't have a number of inspections going on, especially when you're working in the downtown district or on commercial buildings. It's one thing to change a faucet in your own home, but it's another thing to actually go out and for hire, do construction work and do renovation work and not be accountable to the inspectors and to the insurance companies that operate in Columbia County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, the city council, motion on city council resolution 2021-160.
Can you call the roll?
Dave, you already got it?
Yes, I have a motion and a second on that. Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Item 21, city council resolution 2021-161. Mr. Copeland, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, ratifying the execution and submission of the 2022 Airport Improvement Program pre-application for grant funding to the Federal Aviation Authority, providing for the application of a grant award of up to $1,822,500.00 in eligible costs associated with the rehabilitation of airport apron pavement and the realignment of taxiway C at the Lake City Gateway Airport.
Is there a motion on the city council resolution 2021-161?
Mr. Mayor, I approve resolution 2021-161.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Discussion by council. Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. City council resolution 2021-162. Mr. Copeland, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Xylem Water Solutions USA Incorporated, providing for updates and the refurbishment of an existing ozone generator at the Price Creek Water Treatment Facilities, providing for a price not to exceed $124,770.00, providing for an exception to the competitive procurement of the commodity, and providing for an effective date period.
Is there a motion on the city council resolution 2021-162?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion for approval of City Council Resolution number 2021-162.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is city council resolution 2021-163. Mr. Copeland, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Computers at Work Incorporated, doing business as VTech IO Incorporated, providing for the purchase of equipment and software to enhance the Lake City Police Department's network systems and information technology infrastructure, providing for a payment amount not to exceed $102,000 $947.00 and providing for an effective date period.
Is there a motion to the City Council Resolution 2021-163?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion for approval of City Council Resolution number 2021-163.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion by council? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next, City Council Resolution 2021-164. Mr. Everard, read that by title.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of the state highway lighting maintenance and compensation agreement with the state of Florida Department of Transportation, providing for the terms and conditions of maintenance of the state facilities to be maintained by the city, providing for the acceptance of $158,290.11 for the initial year of the 7-year term of the agreement, providing for annual adjustments in compensation, and establishing an effective date period.
Is there a motion of the City Council Resolution 2021-164?
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of resolution number 2021-164.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Item 25 is considered adding new federal holiday Juneteenth, Sunday, June 19th, observed Monday, June 22nd to city schedule. Mr. Bowden.
But I hope I don't have to have anything to think about. Well, y'all gonna get money problem, really got to be bad. They got a joke. I'm gonna bring some value up in next time. Anyway, Mayor, if you recall, I think I might have been doing the budget process, and it might have been before that. I approached the city council about being sure that y'all start making plans for adding this holiday to your schedule. So I'm hoping it's just a discussion you're gonna vote and do it. I hope it's not gonna lead to a long discussion. So I would encourage you to add Juneteenth to your holiday schedule, make it a national holiday, recognized by the city of Lake City, and be prepared to do some of the things that you do on other holidays as it relates to signage downtown. You know, there are Juneteenth signs you can hang up, like hang up for the 4th of July, for Christmas, and for that festival. So I hope that there's no need for no debate on this. I hope that there'll be a motion in a second and pass.
Mr. Moore.
Similar to Mr. Bowden, unlike Mr. Bowden, I find it just disrespectful in discussion. Why is it even on here as discussion and possible action? I mean, this should be a done deal. I mean, I don't even understand why we're discussing. I don't think you discussed Columbus Day. If it was on here, he didn't discover America, but we know that what happened to slaves was real. And this is a celebration of their freedom that people didn't get the news to 2 years later in Texas. And for Black people, once all our brothers are free, then we're all free. So like Mr. Bowden, I hope it comes with just as much festivity as some of the other colonized holidays. And hope that it won't be any discussion other than making a vote in a roll call. And if there's any chatter among the council, that the chatter will be so pleasing that you all will be talking about how much money y'all plan on spending on the holiday to make everybody aware of it and make everybody a part of it, and how y'all gonna just decorate downtown and make it one of the most attractive holidays to be attracted to in this town. I'm praying that that's the discussion that happened between the council. I mean, is that something that you think that myself and folks in the audience can look forward to from the council as y'all begin to deliberate on this particular holiday?
Do we need to make a motion to approve this?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve the Juneteenth on Monday, the June 22nd.
Okay, that's a paid holiday.
Well, yeah, it's a paid holiday, sure.
Are you wanting to substitute another one? Because that'll make 13 holidays we'll have.
No, I don't want to substitute no holidays. If we can pay for whatever 4th of July, whatever holiday, I don't want to substitute no holiday. We want to make this a paid holiday. Juneteenth.
So that makes 13.
If it makes 13, what's the difference?
Okay.
That's what I understand.
We're done.
When it comes to this holiday, I've never met so much resistance about this holiday. These are slaves, like real human beings that were taken into captivity, treated the worst in the world. They were free. You all were wrong. I mean, what's wrong with celebrating it? What's wrong with it being the 13th or the 14th holiday? That's offensive. To even consider that it'd be an extra holiday. The government has already agreed it's a federal holiday. What's your problem?
The federal government recognizes about 10 holidays, the state, I think, 10, so we're at 13 right now.
Okay, well, you have a problem with the lucky number 13?
No.
They should get together and plan a parade or something.
No.
Okay, no, nothing from the audience, please.
What the council needs to do,
Juneteenth parade.
we have a Juneteenth parade every year because of COVID.
Stop.
What we can't do, what we seem to can't do when it comes to stuff in the predominant black community, when it comes to black holiday, we can't get any support from this council. It's been the problem. The council didn't even want to support the Juneteenth parade. Had to force them and the police chief to support the Juneteenth parade when it originally happened, because she was somewhere in Milwaukee and sent Butler tell me that she wasn't going to support him. So I told her I was going to the news. Then she called Butler and told her, tell me don't do that. By the time I got the hardest, and said that she would provide security. So she didn't want it, nor did the council want it at the time. They didn't want the fireworks. So it's always been opposition about this holiday when it comes to Lake City and it comes to this council. You've always tried to fight this community on things that always make sense. It may not make sense to the majority, but it makes sense to a bunch of minority human beings just as human as you all are.
Now, as I said at the beginning, I was hoping I'd have to have a conversation because I brought it up. And I'm left with the understanding that you all would understand that it's an additional holiday and you know there's a cost associated with it. I said then that prepare in your budget that you're going to do that. And it would be absolutely offensive for this not to pass tonight. You know, I can't even imagine Lake City tonight would not vote to authorize this to be a paid holiday for an employee, not just for 2022, but this become a part of the schedule forever.
Okay, Mr. Holbrook.
You can believe this, council.
Mayor, council member, I don't believe we should embark on ethnic issues. I don't think we have a slavery issue. I don't think we have a problem with the makeup of social graces in this county. Most of the time, I see people getting along just fine. You've got a small number of people that want to keep charging forward and raging about how they've been disadvantaged or how they've been marginalized. But the truth of the matter is, these are also successful business people in this county. They're not suffering. I don't really think we should start with ethnic holidays, but if we do, I want to start to discover what Indian holidays that we can add to the calendar, because I am part American Indian.
Columbus Day.
And so all of us
More
have,
comments from the audience.
all of us have in our past peoples who have been oppressed, people who have been subject to unfortunate behavior of others, but I don't see that in Columbia County today, and I don't think we should start to make this an ethnic divide. If we do, I'm going to come back and ask you for an Indian holiday. Thank you.
Tell them to change Columbus Day.
All right.
Indian Day.
Mr.
Let me, on June 21st of this year, it was signed into law that this was a federal holiday. So nobody's asking for an ethnic holiday. This holiday was signed into federal law, so we asking that you honor it as well. We're not, and let me tell you, yeah, you got people coming saying they don't see racial problems because they're the majority. They don't experience racial problems. I have a problem with people outside of a particular area telling us, I can't tell people in Gwen Lake what to say about their lake or what's going on with their lake, because I don't live in Gwen Lake. So I don't need an outsider telling me about my community and telling me stuff that's going on in my community and how to solve issues in my community. That's what my councilman is supposed to do, but apparently not. Now, also, it's not an ethnic holiday. Like I said, June 21st, this was a federal holiday. Do the right thing and just add it to the schedule. This is not an ethnic holiday that we just made up. It's recognized federally.
Okay, Mr. Hill made a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor. So I was looking at the attached documentation of the city holidays, and we already have more holidays than the federal calendar. But I'm wondering why we couldn't align the two. Why couldn't the city align the holidays with the federal holidays? It would make sense to me. It would be easier, then going forward, you don't have to change this. I think it was last changed in 2014. I believe at that time's when they added Good Friday, which is not a federal holiday. We also take Black Friday, which is the Friday after Thanksgiving, also not a federal holiday. Christmas Eve, also not a federal holiday. From working jobs where you had to show up to work day in, day out, you didn't get those days as holidays. You just worked them. So I do think I would like to see section 9.09 altered where we match up to what the federal holidays are. I think that makes sense. For example, didn't know this, so the city doesn't have Columbus Day listed. It's a federal holiday. The other federal holidays, it looks like we have, and then we have the additional ones, Good Friday, Christmas Eve, and Friday after Thanksgiving. I'm not sure why government can't operate the Friday after Thanksgiving. I mean, I work that day. I expect a lot of people work that day. I don't know why the city's closed. So I'm for the motion as Mr. Hill has, but I'd like for administration to review the holidays to see if there's a way we could streamline it just to match it to what the federal holidays are.
Second.
Well, there's already a
Already
second.
have a second.
This is discussion.
Mr. Jefferson.
So I don't know if we could get Mr. Williams to look into that.
And that's my comment. I have no opposition to the holiday itself. I just think we're adding on and that we need to relook at the whole holiday schedule and see where we're at and compare to the county, the state, the federal.
Well, I don't know why the city would need more holidays than the federal government. It doesn't make sense to me, but I think if administration could look into that and say, hey, budgetarily, I believe these are paid holidays. You know, we're paying people not to come to work on days that this council has determined a holiday. But I do think going forward, we should match it up to what the federal government does and be a little cleaner.
Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Just one moment, Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson.
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Mayor Whit.
Yes.
Mayor, on that, may I make a comment?
Yes.
This was brought to the council, as Mr. Sampson pointed out, our holiday schedule in the employee handbook only identifies certain holidays. If the request is of council for us, Donna will have to get a full information. If we are not closed on some of these days, she may have to pull like what it will cost for overtime. You'll have a lot of staff who are going to be taking off and what those.
So I don't like changing in the middle of the year,
Yeah.
but I don't think it really will affect it because these are paid holidays now. So they're getting paid. Now, there's not overtime, but they're getting paid a full day
Right.
to not work these days. So I'm just saying, why would we have extra or more than the federal government? It doesn't really make sense. So
I think the people that do work.
I think it would be cost. I think it would actually reduce costs because now we got another working day people's getting paid salary on and they're getting paid anyways, but now they're being productive. Of course, now I'm telling you this day after Thanksgiving is not too productive, is it? But again, I think that's something administration should start looking into.
If I may answer.
Yes.
It costs you approximately $21,000. Everybody gets straight 8 hours holiday pay, except for the people that have to work or get called out or your law enforcement or things like that. Those calls cost you about $21,000 per holiday, actually. What you could do is a suggestion. You've added Juneteenth, remove President's Day and make President's Day a work day. And then that keeps you at the same number of holidays that you currently have. It's probably the least popular of all the federal holidays. A lot of organizations work on President's Days, but the banks are closed.
When do we observe Good Friday? It changes every year.
Friday before Easter.
So we've got that. I mean, so again, President's Day is a federal holiday. I would be in favor of removing ones that we have that are not federal holidays. And I would like to see us match the number. I don't know why we need more holidays than the federal government provides their employees. If we're coming from a field, I know for years working in banking, we enjoyed federal holidays because we would be off and no one else was off. Like the city doesn't take Columbus Day, but I guarantee you your bank is taking Columbus Day. But I think we should match it up because there's some more changes to be made. And it breaks it up good. If you look at the federal schedule, now you got just about every month with a holiday. And I think that would be a little better. But I think too, we should get employee input, to see what they think, and also constituent input. But I think this year's budget's passed. I just think going forward, we need to streamline it and match it up.
Next is, item 26, selection of vice mayor to fill the remainder of the unexpired annual term in accordance with section 302 of the city, and it lists out, when everybody is served, and I think everybody on here is served except Mr. Sampson, and it'd be my recommendation that Mr. Sampson serve as vice mayor, but not just for the unexpired term, but for next year also, since the term's only another month or so or whatever it is. I think it's actually expired. I think it's really, we're looking at next year. So that would be my recommendation.
I think that's a good recommendation, Mayor.
Make a motion to that.
Yes, I make the motion to approve Mr. Todd Simpson as a vice mayor.
I second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mayor, we're going to appoint Mr. Sampson to fill the unexpired vice mayor term of Chris Green.
And for next year.
And also serve for vice mayor in the capacity next year.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Sampson? Who made that motion? Mr. Hill, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yeah. Okay. Next is, discussion of possible action appointment of planning zoning board and board of adjustment members. Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir. You need to appoint, I believe it's 4 members to the Planning and Zoning Board. You currently do not have a quorum. You have 4 vacancies. If you nominate those people tonight, then I believe Mr. Coberline can prepare a resolution maybe by the next meeting, and then you can take action on those. But we do need to fill those seats, because if you don't fill those seats, you will not be able to hold Planning and Zoning Board meetings. Well, I think you have to nominate some people, sir.
Do we have a list?
They're in the packet, Mayor.
Yeah, I don't have that.
It's fine. Give me a moment.
There's enough paid. Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I nominate for the Planning and Zoning Council, Mr. Greg Cooper.
Do we want to do them at one at a time, or?
Yes.
Okay, there's been a motion to appoint Mr. Greg Cooper. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll say.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next one we have is, we have an application from Ms. B. Coker. Motion to that. All right,
I don't know if she's still there.
Larry Nelson.
I make a motion to appoint Mr. Larry Nelson.
Second.
Motion and second to appoint Larry Nelson. Any discussion? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Okay, we have an application by Ms. Rena Pierce.
Mayor, I don't believe she's eligible. I think she is not a city resident. At least that's what she shared with you when she submitted the application.
There's an application for Mr. Sylvester Warren.
Make the motion to nominate Mr. Sylvester Warren.
Is there a second? Okay, there's a second, then we'll move on. Next is Nancy Wozniak. The motion is to Nancy Wozniak. Okay. I think that's all the applications. How many did we?
You have two, Mayor.
Two or three of them.
You only have, we had 4 vacancies and we had 2 motions carried. We have a Greg,
Very briefly.
and,
I mean, there's nothing new.
I would submit my name if I am not already too late to do so.
We'd have to have an application.
Be glad to fill one out.
You can fill one out later. Yeah. All right. I think that's the last item of business.
I think we need to go back to the vice mayor issue.
Yes.
Appears that you would need to, the charter requires that we have a full council to appoint the vice mayor.
So we'd have to wait till the next meeting.
And the code was approved under code. If you're going to be absent, you shall appoint someone for that meeting to preside over that meeting. If you do not, then the council will vote on for that. So we take it on a case by case basis. So we do need to wait until we have 4 nights in order to appoint Mr. Sampson or anyone else for the annual.
Okay. All right, we'll take care of that next time. And
Mr. Coberline, do we need to do anything with the motion that we made? Do they have to take any action?
We can take no action further administratively, and we set that at the time that we do appoint someone.
Okay.
okay, Mr. Williams, anything in departmental administration?
No, sir.
Okay. Comments of council, I want to thank our chief for her service with us. Chief Gilmore has done a great job for many years. I want to congratulate her on her acceptance of her new career, and she'll do well back in Tallahassee and all. So we want to thank you for all your service. Anybody else have anything? If not, we'll be adjourned. Oh.